gather around a little town bar or someone's house here in town. We talk about life, the highs and the lows, but we skip over the things that make us foes. We talk about just near anything, laughing about the little things. Leave religion at the door, but we'll pray for you. Politics might sneak in when the world ain't true, but mostly it's just friends, me and you. We talk about work and the times we missed, old friends, new laughs, things we can't resist. The funny things people say, the craziest sights. Life's better when it's shared every Saturday night. We talk about just near anything, laughing about the little things. Leave religion at the door, but we'll pray for you. Politics might sneak in when the world ain't true, but mostly it's just friends, me and you. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, don't be late. Come for the fun, leave a little late. Life's too short, don't you know? Gather around, let the good times flow. We talk about just near anything, laughing about the little things. Leave religion at the door, but we'll pray for you. Politics might sneak in when the world ain't true, but mostly it's just friends, me and you. Saturday nights, they feel so right. A little laughter, a little light. So join us now, it's time to begin. Every Saturday night, let's all jump in.
All right, let's get this thing rolling. All right, so here we are. I'm going to have to go back up to my comment section here, where I got that open live on stream. Okay, so I don't know if you guys have been watching Lauren and Joel from Making It Home, but they've been going through some trouble. And I will say this much. If you haven't been watching them, please do, because they're in a situation where they may lose their home. That's terrible. They may lose their home due to a big corporation wanting to put in this like super highway or whatever, and their house is right dead spot in the middle of where they want to put this roadway in. She has been fighting and fighting and fighting. I told her, I says, you need a direct line with your senator, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. And she said, I am. And I said, okay, great. That's what you need, because Sarah Huckabee Sanders looks out for the people. You know, she doesn't care about a highway. She really doesn't. And to be honest with you, I think we have enough highways. So time to pay attention to stuff like that. Troy, if you want to jump in, I'll bring you right on real quick here. In the meantime, everybody knows I've been working on my truck. I mean, I've been working on my truck. I'm on my second motor. I've got a full brand new exhaust system. It was still throwing engine codes and everything else. So I went to my local Chevy dealer and I said, hey, I need to schedule an appointment. I need to have the electronic control module in this truck reprogrammed, because it's a brand new motor, it's all brand new exhaust, and that's what sends the bad codes to the computer that says, okay, well then we're going to put the engine light on, and I need to get the truck inspected again. You know, I had it inspected last time before the new motor got put in, and it's already been a year and it has to be inspected again. So I paid $170 to have them do it, and the one thing they told me was, we refreshed everything on that control module, but you still have a catalytic converter bad code coming up. So I got a hold of my mechanic, the one that did the motor and the exhaust, probably one of the most expensive ones I can. And that's all right. You can come on and I'll throw you on at the end. And I paid them the money. So I told my mechanic, I says, look, you're going to have to put it back up on your rack. You got to put your code reader on there to find out what the code is. It's live now on the truck again. It wasn't live when I left the dealership. I drove that thing from the dealership to Walmart, which is about probably 2 miles away. And then I started driving home, and I made it probably halfway home, which is about another 15 miles. So I made it like another 8 miles probably before the engine light came on. I said, man, if that engine light doesn't come on, I'm going straight back to my mechanics and having him put it on this thing for doing the inspection, because if there's no bad codes on the engine, it'll pass. And the light came on, and I was like, man, I said, all right, well, I'm not going to mechanics. I'm going to go finish my way home. I got a hold of him. I said, look, dude, you're going to have to go in and find out what this code is. I don't know what it is, but it just popped back up again. And try to go in and diagnose it. But I'm bringing the truck back. But I'm gonna do you a favor, because I feel bad about this. I paid him $5,000 for the work he'd already done. And when I bought the next motor, he put it in. He did not charge me a dime. Not a dime. He said he was going to charge me for all the fluids because we needed to change the oil. We don't know how many miles are on the motor since last oil change or whatever. And he had to do the radiator and all that other stuff. He did not charge me a dime. So I told him, I said, I'm going to do you a favor. While you're going to have it up on your rack to do this work anyway, the truck needs new brakes. I know it does. The back brakes, they were grinding. I mean, this truck has been sitting for well over a year and a half. You know what I mean? So there is a lot of rust. And so I said, it needs new brakes. Once you get all this done, but it also needs an inspection again. Can't believe it's been a year. Can't believe it's been a year. And so he said, yeah, just bring it over when you can. And I got to hold my local friend. And I said, hey, I need to, hire you guys to follow me over there so I can drop the truck back off and then come back home and be able to, keep driving my car until the truck gets done again. And while I was there, I showed him that AFM delete that I bought. And he's like, they make those? And I was like, yeah, but you can't have it plugged into the truck when you're doing the inspection. That's the one rule, because the ODB2, whatever that stands for, sensor that they use for the inspection has to plug in to the same port that this thing plugs into to do the delete, which caused all the problems in the first place anyway. And he's like, all right, once it's inspected, I want you to do me a favor, plug that in. And I'm like, well, I was planning on not doing that. Okay, we're going to have Troy Sutton jumping on here real quick, but I want to carry on just for a little bit longer. All right, brother. So I'm going to have him do all this work and everything else and get it all taken care of and whatnot. But I was going to redo, anybody that watched my video of this old truck, it's all nothing but rust and Bondo. The rocker panels are bad. The cab corners are bad. I found a company. It's called the Original Appearance Manufacturing. They don't make a piece to fix the problem. Body shops won't touch it, by the way. I went to probably 9 different body shops. No body shop near me will touch this truck to do the rocker panels and the cab corners because it's too much work. And they said, no, it just rusts out again real quick anyway. This company, OAM, just sent me a cover that goes over top of the running boards and the cab corners to make it look really sharp and like brand new again, and make it so that I don't have that issue anymore. Hey, Short-Handed Homestead, how are we doing? Troy's coming right back. He just had to leave for a moment. Or actually, he just bent down. No, he's still there. He's just hanging out in the back. Let's bring Troy in. Anyway, OAM was $650. I do have the parts in hand, but now that I have the parts in hand, my truck is at the garage again, so I can't do it. but I will take pictures of it and share them on Facebook and maybe even on here on YouTube to show what they look like when they've been added. And it's gonna make a huge difference. It's gonna make a huge difference. I'm gonna keep this truck for a long time. I looked at the price of how much can I get for trade-in value versus how much do I need to pay for a newer truck. This is a 2014. I looked at a 2022 while it was at the dealership because it was there for an hour and a half. And I went in and I talked to the guys about it, and I was like, yeah, that ain't gonna happen. I paid $24,000 for this truck, and my trade-in value is so low that my truck payments would be about $450 a month. And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't want another truck payment. I just paid this truck off. I don't want another truck payment. So I'm not doing that. All right, here we go. We're bringing in Troy. Oh, you got us put up on the back.
Shoot.
He's kicking back. He's back. So how you been doing, Troy?
Oh, I think all the drama is gone.
Yeah,
Maybe for a
maybe.
while. Yeah, it's been it's been kind of a bad few month and a half for me. That's why I apologize. I haven't been able to come up on the stuff.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. So how you doing with your truck?
Actually, I got the welder, which is it's a MIG, TIG, and arc welder. It came in probably about 2 weeks ago. And
What brand?
I have not the slightest clue off my head.
Okay.
But I got to wire the garage up to carry it, and
Okay.
but the cab corners I already got them, and I actually I went on and tap screwed them into place just to have a place to put them.
All right.
And so, and I've got the stuff to actually start working on it. I got the other, well, I got the other truck for the bed, so I'm gonna have to do some patching on that bed but very little rust repair.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, for a 2000 model. But
I was gonna do my own rust repair, cut it all out and weld in all brand new.
yeah,
But I found out that for some reason, and I don't know what the reason is, I can buy the OEM cab corners, but I can't buy the OEM inner and outer rocker panels. They don't sell them anymore.
yeah, well, that's the same way with mine. So I got the OEM cab corners and stuff. Luckily, I don't have to do like you and do the little kick plate.
The rocker panels.
The rocker panels underneath the door,
Right.
and stuff. So now it's just to work on the get that. And the weather's starting to turn, so I can get out in the garage and work on it. That's what I've been waiting on.
Yeah, you got to do the cab corners while you got the box off.
Yeah,
That's a guaranteed.
yeah. And then I can redo the camper top actually, and have the new bed with the camper top on it to refit everything out to turn it into a camper. Even before I put it onto the truck, and
A lot of weight. It's kind of hard to pick up if you got something on top of it.
I got something for that. That's a little secret. Okay. I'm not going to say it right now, but
all right.
Yep.
I was actually going to buy an engine lift from a buddy of mine that's in terrible condition and bring it home and rebuild the engine lift. And then make a special mount on the truck to be able to pick it up, so I could lift the bed off the truck and just drive out from underneath it, clean everything else up, and then drive back under and drop it back down, line it back up, and rebolt it back down. But I'm like, yeah, that's an awful lot of work, and I don't have a garage to do it in. That's my disadvantage. Yeah. My garage is my wood shop.
Yeah.
And that's a
Well,
disadvantage because
yeah.
my garage is a wood shop, ain't big enough to do much woodworking either. So,
You know how small my garage is, and it's the
oh,
bed and then the lawnmower and a side by side sitting in it right now.
right,
But
right,
the thing about it is, the boys don't know since they are in JROTC. There's a lot of boys in there, so that way I can sit back and say, "You can do this, carry this weight out, and put it on the bed." And
right.
so
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. And it's a good workout for them. You
it
know,
is. And,
it's
and they love coming over to help me out because I always challenge them a little bit. Well, okay, I'm a little rude to them, but they like that too. So,
well, it's about two things. It's about the challenge and the reward.
it
You know,
is, and I'm getting them to realize it's not about what you do for yourself; it's what about you do for other people.
yeah, absolutely,
And
absolutely.
if you do that, you know, they're more apt to help you out when you get in need yourself.
Hey, you
So
want to hear a real funny story?
yeah,
When I took my truck to the Chevy garage to make the appointment, they took me out to the service department, and she said, "Well, they may be all on lunch." I get out there, and they're not. And there was a girl out there, and she's taking all of my information in to make the appointment for 2 days later to take the truck into the garage to have the computer done.
yeah,
And she looked at my name and she says, "Hey, are you related to Brandon Moffett?" And I was like, "Yeah, probably." And she said, "Well, there's two of them. There's one in Cortland and there's one in Groton." I said, "Well,
right,
the one in Groton, I know I'm definitely related to because most of my family lived in Groton."
yeah,
She's like, "Okay, well, that's my boyfriend's father, my future father-in-law." So
really,
she calls him, yeah, she calls him on the phone, and we've been BSing back and forth on the phone and text messaging and everything else ever since. And I told him, I says, I hope I run into her again because I'm related to both of you. It's just the Brandon Moffett in Cortland didn't catch my
yeah,
attention. That's my son who's a drug addict. So we don't really talk or associate, you know what I'm saying? And I
but
was like, that's funny.
now he's got a chance to where he can actually check on his son without his son knowing about it, and
Yeah. I
and
thought I
and
thought
be,
that was,
and be family.
yeah, I thought it was funny. He just like texted me today. He says, "Are you going to be home this weekend?" And I says, "Yes, I am." He says, "Well, I'd like to come over and catch up." And I says, "All right, cool. You're more than welcome to. I'll be here all weekend long." And he says, "Well, I can't do it today." And I was like, "Good, because I can't either. We're working in the seed house today. We're behind on orders. We're getting them caught up really quick now, but we're working in the seed house. I'm also up here working in the print shop doing some special jobs from other people. And I've been on the phone with other people doing some other stuff. And I'm like, my thing is constantly all over the whole place.
Yeah,
And, so I was like, yeah, today's not a good day. I says, but I'll be here all day tomorrow if you want to stop by. And he's like, all right, yeah, I'll stop by tomorrow. We'll catch up. And I was like, all right, cool. You know,
yeah,
I actually met this kid. He's my cousin's son. I actually met him on a job site somewhere where I was doing work there, and he was driving a dump truck with his dad. It was either a dump truck or a cement truck with his dad,
yeah,
working on this house, and for that house, I put in the driveway, and I was doing a bunch of yard work for it. So it was like when my cousin pulled up with the dump truck, I went right over and hey Ray, how you doing? Hey Dave, great, how you doing? And we sat there talking, and then the next truck pulls in. He said, "Well, this is my son." And I was like,
yeah.
"All right."
Are
Never
you
met him.
sure? Are you sure you're not from in West Virginia? Because every time you turn a corner, everybody's related to everybody. So
No, I'm not from West Virginia, but I'll be honest with you. My son's mother and I, back when we were together, we went to Hershey, Pennsylvania.
been there.
Yeah. Well, we went there, and I knew like 6 people in that park. and stopped and talked to every one of them. And she says, "Is there not a place we can go where you don't know anybody?" And I told her, I said, "Well, probably not. I really don't know. Maybe there's a good
Yeah.
chance, but I don't know. I don't. We went to Niagara Falls and we did the Canada side, and I knew about 4 or 5 people in the campground we were staying at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just a small world. Is all I can say.
It
You
is.
know?
See, we used to go to up next to Hershey, up to Carlisle, up to the Autorama or the swap meet and up
Carlisle,
there.
PA.
Yeah,
Okay.
and because that is one of the biggest swap meets for cars and stuff on the East Coast. Between that and Charlotte.
All right. Yeah, it was actually Mike Margaret from Outdoors with the Morgans.
Yeah,
I was chit chatting with him the other day, and he was talking about the Pennsylvania Outdoor Show, and
yeah,
I was like, Mike, you and I must have crossed paths. And he's like, why do you say that? And I was like, because my dad was an inventor, and he invented the Dickel Do It porta seat, the Dickel Do It spring bobber, which was used for ice fishing. And he had
yeah,
the Dickel Do It porta shanty that was used for ice fishing. So we would go to that show every year, and we were selling the porta seats and the spring bobbers and demonstrating what the porta shanty was about. We were there like all the time. I said, you must have walked by the booth. I mean, you can't be there without doing it. And
yeah.
he's like, oh, you guys are the ones that had the homemade tree. And I was like, yes,
Uh
absolutely. He
huh.
runs a
Hey, Charlie.
he runs a sawmill at his wood yard,
Yeah,
and I'm not too sure we didn't buy our wood slabs off of him to build that fake tree.
very
There's a
possible.
really good possibility we did because we didn't have the tree before we went. We built the tree on spot.
Yeah.
I was like, small world, you know?
Well, when we was in Carlisle up there the last time, which I was a teenager. It was my dad, my uncle, and two
Hi,
cousins.
Charlie and Grady.
We all went up there, and we actually stayed in Hershey at the Hearthside. Was it? No, it was a Holiday Inn. I remember the bar was named the Hearthside Lounge, right next to it, and
The Hearthside Lounge, I've been there before. I think my dad and I were staying there when we were doing the shows.
yep, that's that's when Dad figured and my uncle found out that me and my cousin had fake IDs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's bad time. My dad found out I had a fake ID because I was sitting in a bar local. It was called Trink's Tavern, and it was on the corner of two major streets. Nobody ever went there, you know. I mean, I went there a lot because I was young and I could, and I was friends with Pa Trink, the owner, and his daughter, and everything. And I thought it was funny because I was sitting at the bar one day, and I had a couple friends of mine that I made a lot of friends there. I had a couple friends there with me, and we were talking back and forth. The next thing you know, we got this big group coming in, and it was all these city employees for the city of Portland, our town, walking in to have a meeting in the back room of the bar.
Yeah.
And that group was my dad.
Really?
And he stopped. He looked at me and says, "What are you doing here?" And I says, "Same thing you are, Dad. I won't say nothing if you don't." And that's the way we left it. That was the way we left it.
Oh yeah. Actually, I think I might even actually have a New York license plate. I'm not really sure how I ended up with it from the parking lot of the Hearthside Lounge. So it's yeah.
Right.
Dad and Uncle found out the boys wasn't as innocent as they thought. So, but that was back in the '80s. So,
Charlie, and about the weather right now, we are 29 degrees. We got snow on the ground again. It melted all away Monday and Tuesday of last week, but we got snow on the ground. But Monday of this week is supposed to be back up to about 60 degrees, and I don't know where we're going after that. I watched Ryan Hall And he's very confusing because he doesn't show a lot about New York. He shows very little, actually. I know New York City is looking for like some really bad weather.
Yeah.
I don't know. But up here in my part, New York, central New York, we're not getting bad weather. It's been cold, but it's not been like this. We're not down in that brutal cold. We were below zero for a long time there. That actually killed off all my chicken flock because it was just so cold they couldn't survive. No matter what you gave them for food, there was no way to keep them alive. So I got to go start with all brand new chickens this year. But yeah, I don't know. I actually just learned yesterday, yesterday, Friday. I learned Friday because I go to the local bar and drink a couple beers with my friends, waiting for Leah to get out of work. I pick her up from work every Friday, and one of my friends from my childhood friends was is giving away a lot of his chickens. Now, I don't know how old his chickens are, but he's just giving them away. He doesn't want them anymore. So I'm gonna make a ride over there probably Monday, put my cage in the back of the car, and just drive over and say, "Hey, Paul, I hear you're wanting to get rid of your chickens. You know, which ones aren't your oldest ones? I don't want the old ones. I want the younger ones.
Yeah.
I want the ones that are egg laying, but not ready to lay me 2 eggs and then die."
Yeah. It's like down here in southeast West Virginia, the weather's been crazy. We had 3 days in the upper 70s, lower 80s, and then the next 2 days I woke up to snow on the ground.
Yeah.
And then today it's been nice today. And
Charlene, yes, I can make a chicken soup, but I don't want chickens for soup. I want chickens for eggs. I have a very good local market for chicken eggs.
Yeah, up to your area. Yeah, you're right. And
I have a lady that lives a mile away from me that sells her eggs for $4 a dozen, and her sign out front is always saying sold out. And I'm like, okay, you're sold out. Well, I was giving mine away.
Yeah,
I think I gave away 20 dozen eggs last year. And I'm not giving
you. That's how you are.
Yeah, well, people say, "Oh, I want some eggs." Okay, great. You can have some. I don't care. I'm taking the time of going out and collecting them and bringing them in and cleaning them and putting them in a refrigerator and the cases and whatever. And I'm like, okay, you can have some eggs. I don't care. But I'm just like, okay, well, now I'm to the point where, okay, well, that chicken feed's getting pretty expensive.
Yeah.
If I got to keep paying for feed, you're going to have to start paying for eggs. I don't care if you pay $3 a dozen. She's charging 4 or 5. I'll charge you 3, but that helps pay for the chicken feed. Plus they give me the egg cartons to deliver them in, so that's cool too. So I'm not out to make money on it. I'm just out to not go broke.
Yeah. I forgot that Charlene was in Cape Cod. Yeah. And that's actually, my family was in the Cape Cod area. I guess when they first came across, it was somewhere between the late 1500s and the early 1600s, because I know he was born in England in the late 1500s, and he is buried in that area in the early 1600s. So,
hey, there we go. Jamie and Kevin are in the house. Hey, how you guys making out on your house? You guys been making some major progress on that one. I've been watching the videos. I've been watching yours and Mike's.
Yeah.
Glad to see it, by the way. Glad to see it.
Oh, yeah. O'Rourke's are great people. If y'all don't know them, you need to check their channel out. And
Heck yeah. Actually, wasn't it Jamie and Kevin that came over and visited with us before we left over there to Lake Eucala last time?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So we met up out there and shot pool with them. And
Yep. Well, I'll be honest with you, Jamie. If I was in your area, I would be helping you guys do what you're doing, just because of the sake that I'm not doing anything else anyway worthwhile. But it's a long drive.
Yeah. And I think the same thing every time I see their videos, along with Mike's, is like I can physically do that stuff now. And when I
I
see
really,
them, I want to help them out.
I like Mike's new truck. I really do.
Yeah.
Mine is a Chevy Silverado LTZ with all the bells and whistles, but I still like the older Dodge Ram trucks. And down there, they don't have to deal with the rust I got to deal with.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm sure you will once you get the storage cleared out.
Yeah.
I've been trying to do that for almost 6 years now, but where I couldn't drive, it's still 35 miles away, and I'm paying almost $400 a month for enough storage units to hold that. And
Really? That's outrageous.
well,
We have a local place that just put up a bunch of storage units.
mm-hmm.
It's called CMY Power Sports.
Right.
They built one building with, I think it was 32 bays in it. There's small ones on the end and bigger ones as you go farther back. They finished that building, put the doors on it, pulled all the doors down. Now all those doors have locks on them. So right next to it, they built another one. All of those doors are on it, down, and they all have locks. They built another one right beside that. Those doors are all down. They all now have locks. And now they're building a fourth one right beside that. They're running out of room to be able to do it. But all the way in the back of their lot, they've got like 4 or 5 other big storage buildings back there that are built the same exact way. They got the same company building them. And I'm like, I know there's money in storage units. I know there
is. But you got to figure one of the units, which is a 12 by 24, and it has all my woodworking cabinetry equipment and tools and everything in it.
Right.
And then another one has all my antiques in it. Another one has another house full of furniture and all kitchen appliances and everything. And then the other one is just crammed full of car parts and my gunsmithing stuff and all the other parts for gunsmithing. And
like when I had my lawn maintenance business, I hit it really lucky. I found an old farmer who had an outbuilding nowhere near his farm, by the way. It was on like, you know how you get these roads where the main road goes this way, and then they get that little road that goes up and around and comes back down, and there's 3 or 4 houses.
Yeah.
Well, he bought all the property on that road, and on that property there was this little garage. I mean, it wasn't little. It was probably I'm gonna say probably a 24 by 48 building.
Yeah.
Not brand new, but not bad. And there was a spring right behind that building. So I had water access, and it would be really easy to have been able to tap into the septic that was across the street to one of the 2 houses that were right nearby it. You got to put a bathroom in and stuff. And I was renting that for my lawn maintenance equipment.
Yeah.
Well, during the summer when we were running the lawn maintenance all the time, that building sat empty. And I was making a lot of money at the time. I'm thinking I was making like $200,000 a year at the time. So I sent him drawings of a rendered building being remade. Mm-hmm. This is what I would like to change this building into if you would allow me. And it included a small bathroom.
Right.
And with notes of this is how I would be able to make it work and all this stuff and how much it was going to cost, the whole 9 yards. But I wasn't going to charge him a dime for it, but I was still going to keep paying the $60 a month's rent that I was paying him for the building.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, that would be all fine and dandy, but you're going to make taxes go up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, you're worried about your taxes on the bill. I mean, I know you're only making $60 a month on this thing. You know, what is it, $720 a year? Mm-hmm. I know you're not making a whole lot of money on this building, but what are you paying for this building right now? $2 a month?
Yeah.
It's not going to be a house. It's just going to be a nicer looking building. I was going to put one side of the building as being my lawn maintenance storage area, and then the other side of the building, an office area with a bathroom in the back. That way we
Yeah.
had room to do maintenance and storage and whatnot. And he finally told me, he said, "Yeah, I'm gonna have to cancel your lease."
Yeah.
I was like, "Why?" He says, "Because you're gonna cost me too much money." And I was like, "Dude, you know how much money I'm willing to put into your building?
Uh-huh.
I don't care about what little bit of your taxes are going to be. I was willing to put I think the total cost to me was going to be about $30,000 or $40,000 to rebuild that whole building and make it like a brand new building with a big picture window for the office with my logo on the window, have a secretary sitting in there with a bathroom access and a storage area on the other side, And he's like, "Yeah, no, you got to go."
Yeah.
As an old farmer, they don't like stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, it's like, when me and my ex split up, and I actually had to hire moving contractors to come in and move it. And of course, the shape I was in, that was right after the stroke, so I was just out of the wheelchair, and it cost me $6,000 to them come in with 2 tractor trailer loads and move it 5 miles and put in storage.
Really?
Yeah.
Charlene, I don't know. Massachusetts might be high, but New York is terrible. I forget what our tax percentage rate is. And of course, now you got Mondami down there in New York. He wants to tax everything. If you die, you pay. If you die, you pay taxes. If you make too much money, you pay more taxes.
Yeah.
That dude is going to send more people out of New York State than anybody ever thought of.
Right.
Ever thought of. I mean, my taxes are high. I got 0.59 acres, and our taxes are $6,800 a year.
Right.
That's school and land. Down in Arkansas, Mike and Lissa's property, what was that? 10.13 acres or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Their taxes are like $100 a year.
Yeah, that's about what it is down here. But where I'm a disabled veteran, there is no property tax in West Virginia.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I was looking at West Virginia, but you know what? What bothered me about West Virginia? You can't get anywhere without having to go over a mountain or two.
Well, as long as you got a side-by-side or four-wheeler, you're good to go.
I got a 4x4 truck, but I also got a front-wheel drive car. But the problem is most of the land that was for sale was like halfway up a mountain. So that puts you heavy snow country in the wintertime, and outrageous gas usage just to get home and go anywhere to do anything. And I was like, I'm gonna give up on West Virginia.
Well, that's like where my family home place, which has been in the family since early to mid 1800s. We still got the 390 acres and stuff. But from where the road stops, it's only half a mile up to the property, which is a county road, by the way. But it is an hour drive to get from where the road stops up to where our place is.
So, Charlene, your taxes are kind of considerable of mine, but what I have is I think it's a 2,000 square foot house. It's a 1900 built house. I have a pretty decent sized garage. I can't use it, but it's a pretty decent sized garage. But then plumb right in the middle of those two buildings, I also have our seed house, which is a 14 by 34. That's now a permanent structure wired into our electric. So I don't know, maybe your taxes might be in the right neighborhood. Do you have a garage? Because that changes things. That changes things a lot. I didn't know it did because it's not living space, but it really does.
It's structural square footage.
Any structure.
Yeah. That's why I had to move my camper from my uncle's fish camp down in Virginia, because even though it was on wheels, they considered it a permanent structure, and they were going to raise the property taxes.
I'll be honest with you. I don't think any camper should ever be considered as being a structure. I mean,
as long as it's
When I,
on wheels.
when I had my camp, my big camper was still on wheels, but what I did is I put in a gray water distribution system.
Yeah.
And because we're cold up here all the time, I
Yeah.
skirted it. I skirted it, and then I added a front porch to it. They said, "Yeah," and a wood stove. The wood stove was the wood stove was my giveaway.
Yeah.
And
Well,
they said, "No, it's a
what
permanent structure." And I was
yeah,
like, "No, it's not. I can undo 3 screws, pull off the chimney, carry it inside the camper, put it on the floor, hook up to it, and go anywhere with it." That outside front porch was not attached to it at all.
mhm.
And they were like, "Yeah, no, because you got a wood stove, it's a permanent structure." And I was like, "No, that's not true. People
Yeah.
have wood stoves in campers all the time."
Yeah. Well, what they told me was since I had on, it's a 26-foot camper. You've seen it.
Yep.
And I had it braced up on center blocks on all 4 corners.
Yep, I did that with mine.
Yep. They said it since you have something that's not collapsible and it's in contact with the ground, it is a permanent structure. And I was like, let me hook to it. I'll pull it right off the
When I took
right now. And I did.
when I took my big one and we started jacking it up to put it on blocks, I learned a lesson. There's a reason why you don't use car jacks to jack big trailers.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't go straight up and down. They always shove everything.
Yeah.
I was amazed. We were lifting up the front and it shoved it off the blocks that we put underneath the back.
Uh-huh.
And because it was sitting on an angle on a hill, we had to leave the jack in the front and then go by, like, it wasn't a scissor jack, but it was a straight up and down jack.
Right. And even them, you gotta put them on something where it will roll back and forth
Yeah.
just a little bit.
Yeah, because when we left the front back down to get onto the blocks, it was pulling it off the blocks we put into the back after we lifted it again.
Yeah.
I was like, "Man, I need a fork truck."
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they actually made me sell my big camper for $1.
Yeah.
You got to get it off the property, or it's going to be taxed as a mobile home.
Well, it's like Charlene said, her RV was considered a home.
Yeah,
Anything mobile, I don't consider, or I don't understand how they consider it a home. Now, like a single wide trailer or something like that, where it's set up and then they take the wheels off, that's a little bit different.
that's
An
different. Yeah,
RV camper, yeah,
mine was the old school. You know, when you go inside, it had the real pine wood walls that went up.
yeah,
And when I went to the ceiling, they curved and they went across the ceiling and curved back down the next wall. And in the front, it was done that way all the way around the whole front. It had the awning rails on it and everything else.
right,
And when I started getting crap from the local zoning officer, I was like, "All right, I'm going to fix this guy's butt." I went over to my Shasta camper, which was the one next door, which was a regular travel trailer, a small
Right.
one. I think it was like, I don't know, 23 footer or something like that. I took the Shasta signs off of that one and I took them over to the old one that we had on. It was already on the property when I bought it.
right,
And I drilled holes and pop riveted that Shasta sign onto it. So it said Shasta right on it. It had the awning rails on it. It had the tail lights on it. It had everything on it. And the judge wouldn't agree with me. He started to until the code enforcement officer said, "No, they got a wood stove in there." I was like, "What the hell does a wood stove have to do with anything?"
yeah.
Yeah, anything.
What?
That chimney pipe is held on by 3 screws. I can pull it out of the wall, stick it inside the building, and draw it anywhere. And at the end of the day, they said, "Good. Undo the chimney pipe, put it inside, and draw it anywhere but here."
Yeah. Well,
So
it's like the only thing.
Mine for $1.
What got me was it was in Wythe County in Virginia, which is a very different color county,
Right?
and
Not quite purple.
Right, yeah. But it was like a, a large farm that you had to drive through to get to where our 9 acre plot was. And there was a 2.5 story log structure there that the farm owner's wife turned into a bed and breakfast, and it was
So,
right beside where my camper was at, which was fine
so they turned
until
it into commercial property.
the well they should have, but under no they couldn't because it fell into the Airbnb side, which is
Right,
different from bed and breakfast.
right.
Uh, and But as soon as I started flying that Betsy Ross flag and stuff down there, you're looking at a mile and a half to get down to it, and then somebody called the tax assessor to come and reassess the taxes on that property, and yeah, I can pretty much guess where that came from.
Right, right, right. I'll be honest with you. When we first bought the property we're on right now, I told Leah, I said the first thing we're gonna do is change the roof. It's rusty. I got a hold of a contractor friend and I told him, I says, I want an estimate of what you're gonna charge me to go in, clean the roof and repaint it. And he gave me an estimate of $3,500. And I was like, all right, that's acceptable. How long will you guarantee that for? And he says, 1 year. One
Really?
year? Really? For $3,500, you're only going to guarantee it 1 year? And he says, yeah, because after we get done doing all of our work, that doesn't mean that old rust isn't going to start coming through again. And I was like, all right. Well, I found an Amish family. I said, how much would you charge me to come in and just tear that old roof off and put a brand new roof on? And they said $4,300.
Yeah.
So I paid them. I said, all right, come in and do it. It took them a while to come in and do it. I would have been fine, but what they did is, and they tore the old roof off. It was an old, like Gary and Melanie put on her house.
Yeah.
They rolled that roof off and they left it in my yard for a while. And one of my neighbors complained about it being in the yard and went down to the code enforcement guy. And he came back and said, oh, I need to have you do a permit for that roof. I was like, yeah, whatever. And then I hired a scrapper to come in and haul all that steel out of my yard. And it was like the guy that complained about it became our new code enforcement officer.
Yeah.
And then he came to me and he says, well, I know they told you had to put a permit in for this roof, but I was going through the files and I didn't see that permit. That's why I filled it all out. I paid $150. I don't know why you can't find it, but I did it. And he was like, no way he could come after me because he can't prove that I didn't, because he was the new one that moved in after the old one passed away or quit or whatever was going on. But I was laughing about it. I was on crutches when they came to my house and said, oh, you got to pay for a permit for those. Now for what? Well, for the new roof. You got to prove how it was done. Is it over the old roof? No, the old roof was in the yard.
Yeah.
Pretty much obvious.
Yeah. That's like whenever we went through that down there. Right. It's like the same week time period down there. And they knew that we had them. They couldn't bust us and stuff. But a black bear came into the camp, and we had other tents or canopies and stuff in there, and just tore it all to pieces. And he said, "Well, since we can't bust you, since we can't raise your taxes or anything like that, there is a littering fee in the county." And since it's on the creek, which rises up, there will be a littering fee of like $150 a day.
Yeah. Yeah, New York State has that $175.
Yeah, and it was like, oh, and
Charlene,
luckily,
you're right. You can't even fart without a permit. I couldn't build a doghouse. They actually told me this in court. You can't build a doghouse without a building permit. I looked at them and said, hell, I can't.
yeah,
If I build a doghouse, that means I'm building a doghouse for somebody else. I don't have a freaking dog.
yeah,
It's not a permanent structure.
uh-huh,
In New York, it actually has to be anything over 100 square feet requires a permit. But only, this is the funny part, but only if it's an addition onto a structure that already exists to make
right,
it more living space. If I want to redo my garage because it's not living space,
yeah,
I have to pay a building permit to build the new one. I have to pay a demolition permit to take the old one down. And the only reason why they do that is because they can change your taxes based on the size of the building you're putting in place of the one you already got. But you also got to pay all these other fees to have it tore down. And I'm like, what? No, I'm gonna tear it down myself. I'm gonna put it in the back of my truck piece for piece and take it to the dump and get rid of it.
yeah,
But you still gotta have a demolition permit.
yeah,
I'm not allowed to tear it apart, and I'm not allowed to put it back together.
yeah.
But
Well,
if I fix it, that's another charge.
Yeah. But like Charlene just said, when they built the shed, they had to have hurricane clips put on it.
Yeah, see, I don't live in that area. I don't need to
Well,
have that.
well, and actually, really up there, well, a permanent
Yeah, Cape
structure
Cod.
it is good to have for a permanent structure, but an outbuilding.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. It
when
depends
I
on what
li-
you're using it for.
right, when I lived down South Carolina, uh, it was it was probably about 3 years after that they were required to put hurricane straps on. But down there, everybody did because that was in that area is on Barrier Island.
I was gonna
You
say you
didn't,
were on the coast. You were on the
yeah,
coast.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I've been.
I was outside the coast,
Oh, you
so
were.
yeah, I was on a Barrier Island. And,
Okay, so yeah, you were definitely out in the storm zone.
yeah. And
I'm actually looking at property on the other side of Columbia, South Carolina, right now.
what part?
It's where Columbia, South Carolina is, where Jackson is.
Yeah.
It's about 60 miles to the west.
Okay, that's I-20 going out that
Greensboro, I think it is, or something like that. I don't remember the name of the town,
way.
but
Yeah.
I found a really nice place down there, and I was like, okay, that would be really, really nice property. The price is right, the taxes aren't terrible, and I've been looking at it, but I haven't like jumped on it.
Right.
I found
That
some other
that
ones.
that is a good area
Some
for
other ones.
property and stuff like that. But the only part about that area right around there uh, is there's kind of it's a higher crime rate that the county would not um,
Respond
produce
to.
exactly. Yeah, because
You're on your own. You're on your own. But
when I was down there, when I first moved down there, I was a park ranger on a semi-tropical island. Right at it's out past Hilton Head,
okay. Yeah.
and they well, I kind of sort of got a promotion for the assistant farmer position for all the state parks in the state for the heavy maintenance side,
All
and
right.
it was like we know you can do the job, and you're going to take this position or you're fired. So, and then I moved up around Aiken, and but then I had all the state parks in the state. And so I got to know a lot of South Carolinas, a lot of the smaller towns, and stuff.
I laughed about Rock Hill, South Carolina area.
Yeah.
If you go somewhere and ask for directions, yeah, you go down to that black tree down there on the side of the road that's dead, where there's about 6 goats into the field. Then you take a left.
Well, Rock Hill is basically Charlotte now,
Yeah,
because it's just right across the state line.
right. I've looked at properties down there just because Arkansas prices have gone so far out of hand.
Right.
You know, here in New York, I can still buy an acre of property for $3,000.
Yeah.
It may not be the most desirable property, but I don't want the most desirable. I don't want to be where it's like right in a town or right next to a town. I want to be out in the woods, you know, or out in the country kind of thing.
Yeah.
My thing is this: I want to have my privacy, and I want to have my security based on where I'm at.
Well, see, that's why there's a lot
Arkansas is beautiful for that, but the problem with Arkansas is the only respectable prices I can find are what's in towns, and I don't want to be in a town.
Yeah. Well, see, that's why we've had an influx for the last 25, maybe 30 years. People from New York moving down here to Monroe County.
Right.
Because, one, the only stoplight that we had at the county seat was a flashing red light. And they took it out because everybody knew where everybody was going.
Right.
And actually, that stoplight actually hangs in the middle of the gymnasium for the one county high school that we have. And they can sell their property for so much. And New York moved down here where cheap property, and the cattle outnumber the people 3-1.
Yeah, that's awesome.
There is no fast food establishments anywhere in the county, and they're ruining it.
I just watched a video today. It was out of Indiana where a tornado went through, and so much beautiful farmland.
Yeah.
That the tornado went through was taken over by solar fields.
Yeah.
We're talking. I'm gonna guess it out. It was probably in the neighborhood of about 45, 50 acres of land.
Right.
Very usable land was changed into solar fields, and the tornado went through and ripped up the solar field. And I'm like, good. Did you learn?
Mm-hmm.
God didn't give you that land to be used for garbage.
Right. And you know what? It needs so much square yardage for all these solar panels. All these mall parking lots and strip mall parking lots.
Use those.
Why not put solar over top of them? People are staying in the dry, so they'll be more apt to go there.
Yeah. I fully agree, because when you come back out, your car's not sweltering hot because it's been shaded.
Right.
You don't have to worry about a whole bunch of snow on top of your car, because it's going to land on the panel and melt first before it goes down onto your car. So now it's just water. I agree. I've said that not just the parking lots, but also some of these damn buildings.
Yeah. Well,
my boss
put the panels on top of the buildings that powers the building.
My boss at the chemical factory, I went to him one day and I said, why don't we put solar panels on the roof? And he's like, what? And I said, why don't we put solar panels on the roof? And he said, because solar panels aren't worth it. When you buy a solar panel, it degrades by 18% per year, so it's only good for about 5-6 years, and then it's no good anymore because it doesn't put out enough power to do anything. And I was like, no, you're looking at the wrong panels.
Yeah.
Look at the new panels. The new panels are good for probably 35-40 years. And he went and looked into them, and he came back with the math, and he says, if we spend $20,000 to put panels on our roof, we can generate probably about $10,000 per year worth of electricity for the first year.
Yeah.
The second year, it's going to be about 9,000. The third year is going to be about 8,000. We use like 60,000 a year. So putting that 20,000 on it's not going to really generate enough to be able to make a difference. It's just a waste of money. And I was like, but you're a corporation. You have the right. Man, there's making it home. Lauren and Joel,
Yeah.
welcome in.
Sister and brother.
Where's Greg? All right, I'm going to answer this question real quick because we did get a text from him. He's dealing with food poisoning right now, so he cannot come on. He's on the end of it, but he's been dealing with food poisoning. That's why Greg's not here tonight.
Yeah. But we'll get back to it. Look at the wind turbines, the big wind turbines.
Oh my God, half of them don't even work.
Well, they only the life expectancy of one of the big wind turbines is only 8 years, and all the material, the blades and stuff like that,
are non-degradable.
They're not exactly. That's where
you can't just throw it away. Yeah. It'll be in a dump forever. We went when we went to Oklahoma back in 23. We went through Missouri.
Yeah.
And on the lower part of Missouri, it's all flat land. You know, there's nothing on the road to see or nothing. It's just flat land. We were getting 50 miles per gallon in our car. And there were all these wind turbines. Out of all the wind turbines, there was probably only 30% of them that were actually spinning in the wind. Mm-hmm. The rest of them were they've already died.
Yeah. But you know how far that they can only push the energy that it produces per mile before they have to do something else?
Well, I know that they have to have the grease, which is petroleum distillate, to be able to keep them running.
But whenever
in order to make fiberglass, they have to have the distillate refuse.
All that, but whenever a single
you're not saving anything. But when you put it all together, they can't be thrown away at the end of the day because they're not compostable. And I'm like, that's so much waste of money. And what they spend for putting in the concrete bases to put them in, the cost of just creating the concrete, the cost of trucking the concrete, the cost of bringing in towers that they actually put the turbine on top of, and trucking that into the area they need to be.
Yep.
Plus the turbine itself and what it takes to keep it running and all that stuff. And there's nobody doing maintenance on them, so they die quick.
Right. Well, and
they say 8 years. I'm gonna say 3.
They can only produce and push electricity 10 to 15 miles.
So yeah, I didn't know that, but
then now when it pushes that far, how are you going to store that? Then once you store it,
yeah, and then you got to have a transfer,
like a battery generator, which is more petroleum to produce the batteries
to run it.
They run it, and so they make a big battery bank, and then that's only going to be able to push so many more miles.
Yeah, but then they have to transfer it. Push it a few more miles.
Yeah.
Lauren, I'm gonna be honest with you. I have seriously been looking into what happens with wind turbine farms and solar panel farms. Yeah. I have people back in the neighborhood where I grew up in on the same road. Mm-hmm. When the people came in to buy these farm fields up and said, we're going to buy this farm field, and they went to everybody around to allow it to be done. They said, you are going to save so much on your utility bill. And I went to a buddy of mine that lives on the end of the road that I grew up on, and I said, how much money are you saving on your utility bill based on that big solar farm down here at the bottom of the hill and all that farmland? He says, not a frickin' dime. Never have, never will.
Yeah.
Never have, never will. That electricity doesn't get sold to the people living in the neighborhood.
Yeah. Well, when they went back and said, all right, we're going to, the government, several years ago, I'm not going to say anything to get into that. It was like, okay, now come up with an alternate source of energy, and we'll have all these contracts for companies and everything. But you can't use nuclear and you cannot use hydro.
Yeah.
Like there, that's the two most cleanest sources of energy that you can have that they can come up with right now. Hopefully something comes up later, but yeah, we're giving you government contracts to come up with all these other ways, but you can't do this. The clean energy.
Troy, I'm gonna throw something at you real quick.
Yeah.
In New York, and on the southern part of the Canadian border, we have Niagara Falls.
Yes,
Okay?
one of the biggest, largest.
It's the biggest, largest generator of power in our state that we can share some of it with southern Canada.
Yeah.
And you know what happened? Nobody was willing to maintain it. So they actually had to have a point where they had to shut the falls off to go in and replace all the equipment and turn it back on again. They actually had to shut Niagara Falls off.
Not only did they pass that you couldn't do either one of them, but they actually passed a bill that you could not manufacture the parts to fix.
Yeah.
Hydro and nuclear power plants.
I told Mike when we were there, remember? I told Mike, this is right there.
Yeah.
Where you got that channel coming up the neighbor's driveway where the drop off was, and you had this like constant water flow?
Yeah.
Hydroelectric all day long. That water never really stops. It slows down, but it never stops.
Yeah.
It may not generate enough electricity to keep your homestead going, but it generates enough electricity to say it's worth a look into.
Well, while we were sitting there talking that's when I brought up the fact that, well, you can put a what's it called? A pump, the water pump, the non-electric stuff. It just works off of the two check valves.
Yeah, the two big tubes off PVC pipe.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he had water. He could have had electricity, and he could use the wheel as his motion to make other things to run like a grist mill, a worm. He could have done a wash machine.
Right. Yeah. Run a belt off of it.
Yeah. So many things. Yeah. Just like a grist mill. The belt runs off the grist mill to run other things.
Yep. I don't know. I'm not a big energy efficient kind of guy, I guess. But I do a lot of research into what's happening and how it's happening, and all the money that's being put into it that's being wasted. And I'm just one of these guys that says, y'all think solar and wind and all that's going to be the answer, and it's not.
No, it's not.
It's not.
The
windmills don't last long. The windmills don't last long. The solar panels, the solar panels are getting better, but they're not there yet.
Yeah.
And I don't know as though they'll ever be there. But none of that stuff is something you can recycle or reuse, because once it's done, it's done. And now it's just more trash on the country, or you got to figure out a way to do something with it.
Yeah, well, that's like the property that I'm looking for now. It will have to be a all year long spring running through there, because I can collect energy from the moving water.
Yeah.
And it's constant.
You could actually take, if it's moving water, you could actually take a car alternator, connect it to a paddle wheel. Wait, hear me out. Connect it to a paddle wheel. Let that alternator generate 12-volt electricity, and then on that 12-volt electricity, you could hook up with what they call the 30 psi pump, where it would automatically pump water out of that source, put it into your house or whatever you got going on, and as long as that water is flowing, your water pump's going to have power to it. Mm-hmm. You're going to be able to always have water. And it's spring fed, so why not?
Right. And it's, the only thing with the alternator, you have to rewire the alternator.
Yeah, you got to reverse it.
You got to reverse the polarity on it and everything. But if you can get one of the old school generators off of the old vehicle, that's a different story because it's already doing that.
You get the Army Jeep generator.
Yeah,
that would do it.
But
all right, well, Troy, it's just you and I in here now, so I'm gonna say let's call this one a night.
All right, that sounds good. But I am going to show you one thing, if you don't mind. Of course,
nope.
I'm known once I get talking not to shut up. So
that's all right. But I'm the same way. Go ahead.
I got. Correct.
Oh, we're back to having one more. I don't know who they are. But we got back to one more.
Hope it's Lauren and Joe. But
no, two more. We can keep going if you want.
That's right. But no, it's a 3-week-old plant. I started in hydroponics. Never used hydroponics. So
dude, I'll be honest with you. I played in hydroponics before my brother passed away, and I had to kill my hydroponic system because when he passed away, I needed to make that room available for his bedroom.
Yeah.
Before he passed away, his health got real bad, and I had to take care of him. I had to kill my hydroponic system in order to be able to give him a room to sleep in.
Right.
And I was like, man, this is terrible. I had cucumbers that actually were growing, and I was getting cucumbers like every, 14 days or so. It was growing up the wall, and I was taking eye hooks and screwing it into the sheetrock and tucking the cucumber vine into it. And I let it keep growing up, and I went over the roof, over the ceiling, and then it was just free falling down the backside. All the water and everything for the hydroponics was on this side.
Right.
I was pulling, after 14 days, I started pulling my first cucumbers off of them plants. And I had, I think 12 of them in a row. And then I started doing the same thing with the tomatoes. As they started growing up, I kept them real close to that wall. I'd put a screw eye in, tuck the stem in, and then as it went up over the ceiling, I did the same thing. There was a lot of drywall repair afterwards in order to make the room for him. Man, I was picking tomatoes off the ceiling, cucumbers off the ceiling. It was freaking awesome.
Yeah, I done that here. What you see that right there? That's tomato. That's a tomato plant that I planted last year.
It's like a cherry tomato.
Yeah, it is. And actually, I took one of the cherry tomatoes off that plant, dried them out, saved them, and right there's a third generation off of that plant.
You know what? You know what's really cool on cherry tomato plants? You don't have to dry the seeds out first because the tomato has the moisture. Just dig a hole in the dirt, drop the cherry tomato in, and cover it back up. You don't need to water it. You don't need to do nothing because that tomato has the juice already in it. Yeah, it'll create 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plants automatically right off the seeds that are in it.
Well, and I found out too that you don't even have to do that if you don't want to plant something right then. You can actually dry it out, and I call them. I call them tomato bombs.
Peat pot?
No. I just let it dry. I let the whole thing dry out completely.
Oh, and then just push it with water?
And well, no, you just drop it in the soil, wet the soil down really well, and it's. So I call them tomato bombs.
Yeah. I actually have to worry every year around my garden bed outside because if I get a split tomato, I'll throw them off into an area in the yard, and then if I'm out there working at it, I'll go out and I'll pick them up, and I'll get a couple handfuls and I'll feed them to the chickens because they love them. But I may miss 1 or 2. So then in the spring before I go mow the lawn, I've got little tomato plants popping up all over the yard. And
Yeah.
I'll just be like, okay, well, dig them up, put them into a pot, add some more, peat moss or whatever to it, and set
Yeah.
it in a cup somewheres. And as it grows, we'll put it out front. We'll sell it for $1.
Right.
It happens every year.
Yeah.
Every year.
Would you mind? I got to ask you this. I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Okay. No.
My camera's all messed up now, so I don't know where the heck I'm at. But you mind if I drop or mention a link to a survival seed type challenge?
Nope. Not at all.
Right. These girls, and I love them, and actually, there's people that's been in the chat. They know them.
I'll be right back. You keep talking.
Okay. And right now, the girls are 12, getting ready to turn right at 16 and 19, and they started this thing about 3 years ago, and they call it the Survival Seed Challenge. If you put out like a starter video under Survival Seeds, this year's 2026, they will actually send you a pack of seeds, and the only thing they ask, and there's like 12 packs of seeds in there, and they ask to grow 6 sets of seeds from that pack, and then you just put out shorts all year long. Once a week, they come in on Sundays, and they have a couple other people that helps them out with it. And once a month, they do giveaways. Last year, I think they even gave away a couple pressure canners. So some of the sponsors that they've come up with really big sponsors to give away gifts doing it. And I did it. This year. It's my first ever collaboration I've ever done with anybody. So that's why my videos are kind of not so good, but they're good girls. They helped me out a lot, especially whenever I was basically bedbound. They gave me the reason to get up and start doing things, which a lot of y'all, all the YouTubers that I've become family with, y'all have done more for me, for my health, and become more like family.
We don't do it. We don't do it for your health. We do it for mental support.
That's true, but no, and that's what it is. Everybody in this group, that's how they are. That if you need something or they could do something, it's there.
I'll be honest. There's a lot of times where, like, I try to do as much as I can, but I can't do as much as I used to. Where if somebody says I need help, I may not be able to go there to give it to them physically.
Yeah.
But I've been able to do it financially.
Right.
You look at Mike. Look at Mike when they were working on that tractor. They were beating their butt off on that tractor, beating it. We went around the machine shops trying to get that thing fixed.
Well, yeah.
I got back home and I'm like, that's $127 part we spent like 2.5 days working on. And we broke things that shouldn't have been broken.
Yeah.
I reached out Tractor Supply and said, just send him the part.
Well, just look at you and Greg. A year ago, y'all didn't know me from Adam.
No.
And Lauren got in touch with y'all, and God bless her. Y'all came down from New York to Southeast West Virginia, picked me up, went out there. And it was a gamble on all ours. It's like, y'all didn't know me, I didn't know y'all. You come down, pick me up. I jumped it. I got in a vehicle.
I talked to Greg a lot, but I didn't. I talked to Greg a lot, but I didn't know Greg until I went and met him.
Yeah,
And it was on our way to come pick you up.
yeah, and look, and y'all two are some of my best friends, and that I consider brothers
All right.
because of the time that we spent together.
Well, it's not just about the time we spent together; it's time we've talked to each other.
Yes, got to know each other.
If you got something on your mind, you got my number, I got your number, I got Greg's number, I got Mike's number. We can all talk to each other and we can all work things out. And
Well, see,
I think that's the most important. I think that's the most important.
Everybody in the United States needs to get in a vehicle, and everybody drives 17 hours.
Yeah.
You
and
get
see if you don't get along at the end of the day.
So
That's like somebody to know, hey, are you married? Are you remodeling a house together? Let's see if you still get along after you get work.
But it gets down to, did you take a good poop today? So
I see things with people that most people would not even notice, just because I've spent so much time with people doing things that are just so out of the ordinary, like all of us going to Arkansas. That was so out of the ordinary.
Well, that was actually, I was stuck here. My nephews and stuff really wasn't. They were just starting to come around, and I sat here in the house for 3 years straight. That was the first time I got out of the house and actually got out to spend time doing something.
I actually made
y'all and everybody else that I met on that trip
makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah,
it makes it all worthwhile.
It does.
I actually had friends down in Florida that I call them friends because I only knew them by talking to them online, and we talked a lot.
Yeah.
And I went down one year to visit with my parents, and of course, at the time I was playing guitar and stuff, so I went down. And I made a lot of money, and I hung out, and I made a plan with them to come pick me up where I was playing at one night.
Right.
Well, my parents didn't have to take me back to the airport because it was a long drive for them. So these guys were in Lady Lake, Florida, so I made a plan for them to come pick me up at the end of the night, and I was still playing when they picked me up.
Right.
And they never met me. They never heard me play guitar. They never heard me sing or any of that stuff. And they came and they picked me up.
Right.
They took me back. They took me back to their house. Of course, I got all my music equipment because it's in my luggage and whatnot, and I got the rest of my luggage with me. I go back to their house, and the first thing that the dad says, Billy, he says, my daughter would love to learn how to play guitar, and well, since you're here and you got your guitar and everything with you, would you mind giving her a couple quick lessons?
Yep.
Nope, don't mind a bit. And I hung out with them for quite a while. We got to know each other really well. And I stayed there for 2 days, and then they gave me a ride back to the airport. The next year, I went down there with my brother, Donnie. And I got a hold of him. I said, hey, Billy, we're going to be in town again. This time I got my brother tagging along, though. I said, any chance you guys want to get together? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. We got room for you guys to come down here. By that point, their oldest daughter had gone to college, so they had an empty room available. I slept on the couch. My brother got the extra room, and my brother and him hit it off really good. And of course, his wife Paula and I were really good friends. Yeah. And so we all hung out together. I think we spent 3 days with them that time, and we had a great time. And it was like, it's hard. People were going, oh, you don't want to meet people you meet online. That's not true.
No,
I'm sorry.
Not in groups like this.
If you can read them, I mean, when you're talking to somebody online, like I did with Billy and Paula, I talked to them for probably a year online before I even went to Florida to meet them.
Yeah.
And my mom and dad are like, oh, you can't do that. You can't. Yeah, the hell I can't. I've been talking to these guys. They're down to earth people, and they're not serial killers and all this shit, It's not an issue. When my brother and I went down there, and we did a lot of work for my mom and dad while we were down there because my mom was in the hospital at the time. Then we got ready to leave. Donnie's going, "Hey, what about Billy and Paul over in Lady Lake?" I was like, "I'll only get a hold of them." And I called him, and I was like, "Yeah, come on over.
Yeah.
You can hang out for a couple of days." I was like, "All right, cool. Let's go do that."
Right.
And then the following year, we went down. My brother brought his wife and stepdaughter with him, and he's like, "Hey, you're gonna go over and visit with Billy and Paula this year?" And I told him, I says, "I may do it, but if I do it, I'm not doing it with you because you got your wife and you got the stepdaughter with you. I'm not putting that on them.
Right.
You know, that's putting a burden on people. I'm not
Yeah.
putting a burden on people. You know,
Yeah.
if you want to cook dinner for 4 people, that's one thing. If you want to cook dinner for 6 people, that's a totally different story."
Right.
And I was like, "Yeah, we're not putting a burden on them," and so we didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't. I did call him while I was down there, and we were like talking back and forth and a lot and stuff. But I told him, I said, "I got my brother," and they were like, "Hey, he's cool." And I was like, "Yeah, but he's got his wife and his stepdaughter. That's a different story."
Yeah.
And they were like, "Yeah, no, don't do that. We don't have that much room." And I was like, "Well, I'm not going to do it to you anyway." You know?
Right. Well, that's like and everybody else knows my nephew Silas and my adopted nephew Drake,
Right.
and a few weeks, which I've talked to you and Greg about it, and of course, I tuck in some things that's going on. I tuck Shaughnessy and her mama in when they had 2 weeks ago when they had no electricity or food or anything, and so and her mom needed some other help, and we made sure she got that, and we had plans and make plans and everything for this summer coming up, and I'm going to have to cancel. I'm canceling all my summer plans because Shaughnessy needs some guidance and somebody around to take care of her. And I'm spending my summer with Shaughnessy, so I'm not going to be able to make it to anything we have planned. And I'm just now telling you that because everything's happening day to day.
I don't know. I don't know as though I'm going to be able to do much this year either because our seed business this year we were doing great. We were doing really good.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem was is that we got into them like really negative temperatures, and everybody got sick.
Yeah.
And I shut everything down for like a 10-day period because I was like, no, everybody's getting sick. There's going to be no packaging going on while everybody's sick. There's going to be no shipping because I didn't want to ship it around the country.
Right.
We just finished the month of February seed orders. We're on the 14th today. So I'm still 2 weeks behind. Fortunately, the orders have slowed down coming in, so it'll be easier to get out. But January, our busiest month, when that happened, that put us so far behind. And we've been fighting to catch up. But we're still not caught up. So I don't know what I'm going to be able to do this year either because I really got to make sure that never happens again,
Right.
I mean, I can't control the weather, but I can kind of control the climate.
Yeah. Yeah. And I knew for 10 Killer, your wife's scheduled for a lot of things right there. So it's just everything, everybody, we're all dealing with things. And that's why I said, well, I'm going to step back, step out. And she spent her 15th birthday here at the house last week. So she's at that age that is everything is very
on edge.
It's a tough age.
Yeah, it is.
But Uncle Troy can be Uncle Troy, and right now she is my most precious thing right now to take care of and help her out what I can this summer.
Well, that's kind of where I'm at too. With like Leah's been going through a lot of issues with actually. she had a couple of mini strokes, and now they got her on a heart monitor and stuff. So I have to try to say, okay, I'm going to take your stress away. Well, it's kind of hard to take stress away from somebody who is like in charge of keeping the seed business going. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So I'm
Yeah.
stepping in and I'm doing things that I shouldn't be doing just because I need to do it because I got to take that stress away. And
Yeah.
so it's just one of them issues where I don't know what I can do. I don't know what I can't do. You know, I've got my plans. My truck has been a major stress issue because I want to go camping this year. We haven't done it in 2 years now. So that's been a major stress issue. And I'm just like, I'm gonna deal with what I'm dealing with, but if it means I'm not going anywhere this year because I can't afford to or whatever, because I still want to build my new garage, then I'm
Right.
not gonna do it, you know.
Right.
I mean I got other things going on too. So I
Exactly.
understand it. I
Yeah.
understand it.
Yeah. As like, well, I already had our campsite and everything ready for 10 killer. I know some people that don't have campsites yet, and I'm just going to gift it to them.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. I would do that myself. If I already set it up and I wasn't planning on going there, I would do it.
Well, it's like
You want
everybody,
it? It's your,
yeah, everybody said, well, you just get your money back. Well, no, I know other people that are struggling too that want to go, but they can't afford it. So why should I not give forth to them?
if I already spent the money, it's because I could afford to.
But and I could at the times. That's
And that means
so
I'm not looking to get it back because that meant I already I could have already spent it. I could have already given it away. I could have done whatever I wanted to. You know what I'm saying? For me,
well,
if I spend money today, I don't expect to get it back tomorrow.
exactly. And that's like
And
that was money already spent. So it's
yeah,
completely not even considered for
yeah.
anything.
Once you spend it, you shouldn't expect to get it back.
Exactly.
You remember what we used to call them back in our younger days?
Uh,
Indian givers.
yes. Yeah.
you
But
don't
then, but
you
there,
don't
but there is,
you don't go above beyond what you can afford to do something, and then because you can't afford to go do it because of whatever reason is there, you don't expect to get it all back because well all of a sudden now you can't do it. You know what I mean? That's an
but
Indian giver.
exactly. But somebody else that lived close to there, they really wanted to, but they couldn't afford to do that. Uh,
Yeah, that's awesome.
there you go.
That's
It's
what that's the route I would have taken.
right. Right.
Absolutely, that's the route I would have taken. If I already spent the money, I don't want the money back.
Hmm.
I've told Mike actually said something one time about the part on his tractor.
Right.
I can pay you back for that. It wasn't that much money, Mike.
Yeah.
If I spent the money, that means I'm not expecting to get that money back. I didn't loan it
Exactly.
to you. I didn't loan it to you. I spent it for you.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a loan. I don't care.
Hmm.
Now, Greg selling the car, that was on a loan basis. Okay, great.
That was a
Him buying
different.
that
That's
new truck,
different.
him buying
Yeah.
that new truck, that's on a loan basis. Good for you. Me? Hey, if I wanted to make you the truck payment for you, it's not because it's a loan, it's because I just wanted to help you out. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly right. And it's like with the kids too. The nephews, adopted
Yeah,
nephew, adopted niece, and everything like that. You know, I might not be able to afford to be able to get y'all things. Of course, one of them needed uh, bearings and hubs for his car, so he got that yesterday. But my big thing is too is to pass on to them my knowledge
yeah,
to come by
absolutely.
and teach them that. And and they know anytime I do something for them, they're going to have to make up for that here at the house. But it's not
It's not.
it's not like yard work or things like that, pick up trash or something like that. It's going to be doing something. They're actually learning something as they do it.
Yeah. Yeah. If I'm gonna have you come over and pick the trash up out of my yard, I'm gonna pay you to come pick the trash up out of my yard.
Exactly. But
if I have to teach you how to pick the trash up out of my yard, I'm not gonna pay you because that's something you're gonna learn that you will know from here on out. That I'm not gonna pay you for. It's just something you should automatically do on your own.
Yeah. So I mean, there's going to be shelves built. You learn how to use the power tools. Whenever they need something done to their car, but they come down, I'll watch over them, but they got to do the work themselves.
Yeah, I actually back in my wood shop days when we lived in McLean before we bought the house, where I had a real wood shop set up.
Yeah,
I had a guy come over to me and says, "I need to build a stuffed animal cage to be a zoo for stuffed animals." Yeah. And I don't know what I'm doing. And I was like, good, you know what? I'm not going to charge you for use of my shop. I'm not going to do any of the work with it. I'll do some of it if I need to, but I'm not going to do any of the work with you, but I'm going to teach you how to do it. Here's what you need to do. You need to buy the materials, the paint, the bungee cords, all that stuff. And when you're all done with this thing, you tell me the girl's name, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in my vinyl plotter, and I'm going to plot out her name. It was at Edison's Zoo.
Right.
Plot it out and put it on the front of this thing, so when you deliver it, she knows it's specially made for her.
Right.
And it was for a little kid.
Yeah.
And the father, actually, I said to him, I said, I would like to see a picture of her face when she sees this, because that would be really cool to share on the website. Yeah. And her father said, no, I don't want a picture of my daughter on the internet. And I was like, all right, fair enough, I'll accept that. But what they did do is took a picture of her not putting stuffed animals into the cage, but actually climbing into the cage herself.
Yeah.
Looking like she's in a drill cell, basically. And looking through the bars, and I was like, "That's cute enough. I don't care. I don't need to share that.
Right.
I don't need to share that." But the guy that came over to do it in my shop, I told him, I said, "You know what? That picture was worth 1,000 words, and I don't care about what it costs us for electricity. You bought all the materials. You learned something new that you didn't know before. We are even."
Right.
He's like, "No, I'm gonna pay you something." I no, you're not. You're not paying me nothing.
Yeah.
I showed you how to use the chop saw. I showed you how to string, bungee cord on something like that to make it tight. Right. I helped you do it, but I'm not charging you a dime for any of that.
Well, it's like if I could afford to get all that stuff, the cabinet shop out of storage and set up out here in the garage, and not only teach the boys how to do something like that, they're all right there at graduation age from high school.
Well, then they may be able to start taking over the cabinet shop.
Exactly. And for them to even find out that I have a drill press that actually drills square holes, they were like,
I got one of
those. How can you do that? Well, I'm going to have to show you, teach you.
Yeah. The only problem I have with I have a big drill press that drills square holes.
Yeah.
And the problem I have with it is that holding the wood down when you pull the bit back out.
Yeah, and
it keeps trying to lift off the table.
I had to modify and make a table special for that.
Yeah, I haven't done that yet. Yeah. But that was my big issue with mine, is that it always, when you drill the hole down, it looks perfect, and then you pull it back up, and the board wants to pick up with it.
Yeah. Well, all it is a round drill bit with basically 4 chisels on each side.
Square chisel. Yeah, square chisel. With an open port to throw the wood chips out.
Right. Yeah. And
I got one.
I made the blocks to actually clamp the work surface down to the table, and that way you could do that. Because yeah, that was a big problem.
Show me in a video sometime of what you got set up. Maybe I'll change mine because mine does have a clamp that says you can put it on here and do it. But the problem is, it tilts the table when it starts picking the bed out, and then it binds into the wood even harder.
Yeah.
And it's a cast table, so it
I found
shouldn't
that
tear.
out too because there's a lot of trial and error. But like I said, that's all. All that stuff is in storage, and I haven't been able to get it perfect in 6 years.
All right.
And
The one thing I did have going for me with mine was the guy that was working in my wood shop, who was also a seed house employee, who I didn't really have working much in the seed house because he was too beneficial everywhere else. He was able to go in and drill a totally like 1 inch square hole,
yeah,
and then take a piece of wood and chisel it to the point where it made a leg into a walnut bench. And he brought his own walnut piece over to do it.
yeah,
He ran it through the table saw to get it down to what he needed to have for the actual thickness on each side to go down into the hole.
yeah,
But he only ran it through the table saw to do that, and then he did the rest by hand by chisel to make sure that once it went in, it don't never come back out.
yeah,
And then he went in with a planer and planed off the top of a hand planer
yeah.
and hand planed it down to where it was perfectly flush. He did such awesome work. I let him play in my wood shop all summer long because I didn't care.
Yeah.
But he was making things he was doing things I have no idea what he was doing them for. And then when I got rid of him because his health was going bad, he had a bad attitude.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, well, you're done. And when we brought in the dumpster, I was like, all right, well, I got two options. All of this is hardwood, and it's all been like really refined really well. And the two options are I can either get out the chainsaw and turn it into firewood, or I can just throw it in the dumpster and get the hell out of my shop so I got room to do something I want to do. It turned out most of it went to the dumpster.
Well, it's like the table saw that I made. I can actually throw a 4x8 sheet of plywood on it, and of course the ends fold down and everything, and it has the braces built onto it. But I can put a 4x8 sheet of plywood, start on one side, and roll it completely through there, and it come out the other side, and everything's still supported. But also, not only is it a table saw, but it's also
Router table?
a router table, and then on the other side of it is a retractable barrel sander
Oh,
with the drum that comes up to work on it, and it's got its own vacuum system. Then spare storage space underneath it for other things to put on top of it. But I'll have to.
I was playing around. I bought a 2 foot wide drum sanding drum with a sandpaper already on it, with a shaft and everything. And I went out and I bought the pillow bearings for it, and I was going to build a wide body sander. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
I still got all those parts. I paid $200 just for the drum and the shafts.
Yeah.
And I got probably another, I don't know, $600 invested in all the bearings and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and the pulleys to run the motor on it and everything else. And I gave up on it.
Yeah.
I gave up on it. I did. I gave up because that $200 I spent on just that drum, I mean, it's probably, I'm going to say probably a 6-inch drum. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Mine goes up to 6 inches too.
With like 120 sandpaper on it.
Right.
But the sandpaper is glued on. So if you have to take it off, you have to start all over again. And let's just buy a drum sander. They're cheap, you know.
Well, it's like everything that I built. The table is only 4 foot by about 2.5, maybe 3 foot, and and workable height. And I went to Harbor Freight. I bought the cheap table saw, the cheap everything, and stripped it down and built it onto that. And it does anything I want.
My original table saw was a 1953 Craftsman. And then I went out and I bought another one that was an exact match to it. It had issues. It had a bad arbor on it, but it had all the extra extension plates and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was $30. So I bought that and I added all the extension plates onto it. So I had a good 48-inch bed on top of that table saw.
Yeah.
And then I built a 4x6 assembly table, the exact same height as that base out on the table saw. So when you put a board through, it ends up on that big 4x6 table. And I went out to my shop one day to start working on a cabinet. And I go out and my table saw is like, oh, we're working on the Olympics now. The stand I had underneath it was one of the heavy duty, it wasn't a Harbor Freight, but it was like one of the Harbor Freight stands that had metal underneath, you know, a table saw or whatever.
Yeah.
It collapsed. And so my whole table saw was all screwed up. And I was like, all right. I got my neighbor down and I was like, I need you to help me out. And he was like, what are we doing? I said, we're taking the table saw off the metal stand. We got to lay it on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
So we laid it down. We took the metal stand out from underneath it and I built a 3/4 inch really nice cabinet to put that saw onto.
Right.
And I found out that it was still, you know, even with 3/4 inch cabinet grade plywood, you know, which is like what, 8-9 ply.
Yeah.
It still wasn't setting level, so I had to go in on the large wing, especially. I had to go up, cut a piece of plywood, screw it in from the bottom, so when that piece came over and it laid down, it stayed perfectly 100% flat. So when they came off, they went onto the assembly table. I did that, and I used that saw. It was a 1953 Craftsman. Come on, this thing is belt driven. I had an extra motor in case the motor ever passed away on it. I got another one to work with, and it was just getting to be a real pain in my neck.
Yeah.
And it wasn't cutting perfectly square, 90-degree straight pieces all day long. It was messing them up. And my woodworker that I had hired was like, yeah, I can't do this with this table saw anymore. The arbor's starting to wobble. And I was like, what? And he says, the arbor's starting to wobble.
Mm-hmm.
And I went out and I looked and I watched him cut a couple of feet. And of course, now we're doing hardwood, where before it was always plywood, cabinet grade.
Yeah. And that there is a big difference there.
Oh, yeah, there is. It was trashed in the barn in the 1953.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, tear it apart. He's like, what? I says, tear it apart. Take the saw apart. Each section of that cast iron that was on that saw, take it off, bring it down to the bare saw. And then after that, any of those pieces you want to keep for whatever you want them for, you can have. If not, the scrap steel, I don't care. I'll be back. I'm going to Lowe's. And I came back with a Craftsman contractor's saw.
Yeah.
Paid him for a day to set that saw up till it was guaranteed. Everything 100% square. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The table with the tracks can be adjusted. The blade can be adjusted. Everything 90% square. He did that, and he got it all set up. And I was like, all right, cool. We're good. We got a really good saw now. It doesn't leave saw marks on the edge of the board. You don't need to sand the edge of the boards. There's no saw curve marks or nothing. It's perfectly it's perfect. About I think it was a week later, I had a Ryobi chop saw set up that was like really good. And it got to the point where it was going like this on the handle. Not a lot, but enough to be you can't guarantee a 90-degree cut. That's all right. Tear it out. I'm going to Lowe's. I'll be back. And I bought the DeWalt 14-inch.
Yeah.
And I come back and I was like, this isn't going to work in the area that I had it set up on because now it's bigger. You know,
Yeah.
you got to change the bench heights on the sides, and I want this bench over here to go like a long ways down. So if I'm bringing in like a 12, 14-foot board,
Right.
it's going to have a place to rest. So he had to replace everything in my garage in order to make that work. And we set it up, and I was like, all right, now I need you to do me two favors on this one. He's like, what? And I said, guarantee it's 90 degrees up and down and 90 degrees left and right. Everything is adjustable. Here's the instructions. It took him a whole nother day to get that thing set up. Now you can't see a saw kerf mark on that either.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? As long as that board is on that platform, you can't see a saw kerf mark. But it's because of the blades. It's because of the blades. It's because of the speed, and it's because they're high end. They are a high end.
Yeah.
What I spent probably $400 for before, I replaced with about $1,600 now.
You mentioned chop saw. I made a chop saw stand for mine, and it was whatever the green handle thing was. You get the chop saw from Lowe's, and had a 12-inch.
That would be Hitachi.
Yep. And I took a 12-foot 2x8, and then on the edge of it, I attached a piece of oak trim, the same diameter. That way, it was standing straight up.
Right.
And then I made sections. One section was just to hold the chop saw, and the size of it actually just set right down over top of that 2x8. And then I made little sections about 10 inches wide that set down on it. That way I could actually take the saw off, move the sections where I want them to be. It could be at one end or the other or somewhere in the middle, and put it all together. That way I could regulate where the saw was to hold the weight of the lumber itself, and to cut it where I wanted to. And that was one of the most handy things that I made.
You know what's funny? One of my first favorite saws that I ever owned was a very, very old school, and they always say you don't never touch these saws. Was the old Craftsman radial arm saw with a 36-inch stroke. That thing was so awesome because I could have it pulling straight forward and saw a 36-inch wide board, or I could pull it out, lock it down, turn the blade, and say, okay, now I want to cut a 3.5-inch board and run it through like you would a table saw. Yeah. Or what was even better is that you could get up on behind that and use the crank and just put grooves in the boards to be able to do, like, if you're building a shelf and you want to do like the 1/2-inch inset, you could raise it up and you could do that.
Yeah.
And that thing was so tight, it was perfect. But then I had a problem with the blade, and I had to change the blade.
Yeah.
And what they did is they stripped probably like all of the close screw threads that go to the blade off.
Yep.
And they had a rubber washer in there that the nut held the blade tight to the arbor.
Right. Yeah.
Well, the longer I used it, the more that rubber wore out.
Right.
And I was like, all right, let me just do it differently. And me put a collar on this thing because there were no threads left. So let me put a collar on this thing and then screw the nut to the collar and then tighten the collar down and make that work. I did that for, I'm going to say probably 4 years, and it was pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah.
I gave that away.
Yeah.
I gave it away because everybody was saying, those are so dangerous. I don't know why you call them dangerous. I've never had an issue with it. Never.
Yeah.
I would have replaced that screw piece that held the blade on, the arbor.
Yeah.
I would have replaced that, but they don't make them anymore.
Right.
They can't. And I was like, okay, well, that means you replaced the whole radial arm saw. And because it took up so much space, I was like, yeah, I don't really want a radial arm saw anymore.
Right.
Everything I used it for was awesome, but I didn't
Yeah.
need it anymore.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm gonna get off here. That way you
Me
can
too.
say you can't say that Troy talks too much because you talk more than I did.
All right, wait, before you go,
I love you, brother. You know
wait,
that.
Troy, wait, before you go, I got one more for you. I went to Syracuse, New York. I was on Facebook Marketplace, and this old guy, woodworker, passed away, and his son inherited it. Okay.
Yep.
I have a 4.5 foot long edge belt sander
Oh, no kidding.
that his dad made, and they gave me all the extra belts for it.
Oh,
75 dollars, and because I was on crutches at the time, he loaded it into my trailer for me. And when I got home, my woodworker unloaded it for me.
yeah.
And I'll tell you what, that thing is freaking awesome. He did such an awesome job building it. The table is 90 degrees off of the belt, but you can rock
Right.
it down to 45 and it's a dead stop.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that thing is a game changer.
That
If
would
you're
be
doing
sweet.
cutting boards, if you're doing cutting boards,
Yeah.
you can move it back and forth, but you can also raise the table up and down so you're not always on the same part of the belt.
Oh,
I bought that for $75. That was the best money I ever spent.
that would be so sweet.
It
I
is.
got an old scroll saw, and it was from back in the 50s or 60s. I'm not really sure how old it is, but it's got a 2.5 inch, 2.5 foot arm on it.
Wow. That's a big arm.
Yeah, and that with a only an 8 inch travel, so you can get some really fine work on it. And I love that thing to death.
All right, one more thing.
Yeah.
One thing I tried to buy was a scroll saw that could use the round blades. That way you can go in and you can just follow the line with your wood and pull it back out.
I can do that on that one. I had the round blades for it.
Can
But
you?
there again, all that crap is in storage, and I can't afford to get it home. Well, I probably could, but I'd rather spend the money on the nephews and nieces and people that
Right.
need the money.
All right. All right. Now we can say this is the end of the night.
I love you, brother. Hey,
I love you too, brother.
call me anytime. We can do FaceTime on whatever it's called. But
I don't know. I don't do FaceTime, but sometime we're going to get together and we're going to do a project.
we will
Whether
have.
I get you up here in my shop or I go down there and play with yours, but one of these days we'll get together and we'll do a project.
It's definitely going to happen. I love you,
All right.
man. I
Love
love
you, man.
Greg too. But
All right.
y'all take care. I appreciate y'all.
Everybody have a good night. Enjoy your weekend. If you haven't already, give us a thumbs up because it kind of helps the algorithm. I don't know why. If you haven't already commented, and we're dropping out of here.